All right, welcome to another episode of American Hammers TV. This is a special Sunday episode. We decided to start, bringing back the interviews in the show. We haven't done that in a while. Looks like we've been just doing, game shows, talk shows, and yapping about the same old, no football and all the other depressing stuff. So we wanted to, liven it up a bit and bring some sunshine into this mix. So we asked Paul to come on, and he was more than happy to. So I really appreciate that. And we have Paul Konchesky here today with us, and my original co-host, as a matter of fact, Lee, is here with me. So this is nice. We don't really get to do shows together anymore.
We don't. So this is rare.
This is rare.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, looks like the chat rooms. I didn't tell Paul, but yeah, we actually have a live chat also going on at the same time with this. Anybody from Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube can chime in. We'll pull up comments from time to time as well.
He's talking about me, Paul, not you. So just want to let you know.
So yeah, we got Neil from Australia watching live at 3:30 a.m. He says, well, thanks, Neil. Appreciate that. Good seeing you again. We have Foshizi, good man, and Tommy and a bunch of others in here. So yeah, if you're watching this live, feel free to comment live, and we'll try to pull up your comments. If you have any questions as well, that would be cool to get them up on the screen and ask Paul. But we already have some questions for him, so we should be okay. Let's see. Real quick, AmericanHammers.net. That's our website. We have a shop on there with cool, supporters group club designs, also some of our own creative designs as well. It's our way of, rather than asking for, donations or money or anything like that, what we do is we have stuff in our shop. So if you buy stuff from our shop, it helps us out and you get something tangible. So real quick, let's, Charlie Walsh is here too. Cool. Robert Gresto and Danny Hardy. Awesome. So Lee, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. First of all, Paul, thank you so much for coming on with us. We really appreciate it. It's always a big deal to have an ex-player on with us, especially one who played an FA Cup final. So really appreciate you being here. We wanted to get to your time at West Ham here in a minute and some other things as well. But the first thing I have to ask you is, you were a Premier League footballer. In fact, actually, you're no longer in football, right? Didn't you retire a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I've finished now. Yeah, so I finished 18 months, 2 years ago now. So I haven't played professional football for that long now. So yeah, I'm out of the game now.
And you were at Billericay, right? Your last club?
I was, yeah. See,
that kills me, Paul, because I live in Chelmsford, Massachusetts.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is named after Chelmsford, England. So yeah. I'm kind of a Chelmsford City supporter, and that's right next door to our town is a town called Billerica that's named after Billericay. So
okay,
yeah,
it's the big local rivalry. But no, the reason I asked, go ahead. Sorry. The reason I asked that is because you were obviously a footballer until not long ago. You were a Premier League footballer for a long time. The situation we have now with the players, mulling over taking a 30% pay cut across the board to support other employees of clubs, that sort of thing. What would you have thought of that when you were a Premier League footballer? I know it's hard to imagine being in a global pandemic at the time, but if you were in the Premier League now, is it something that you would think about? What would your reaction to that be?
Everyone's got an argument, but listen, if I was playing in the Premier League now to help people, and you see what the nurses and the doctors are all doing, of course, I'd do as much as I could, because one day myself and my family, we might call on them. So if I can give something back, then yeah, definitely, I try and help as much as I could.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I don't sense that there's a lot of, I don't know what the players are going to do. I mean, I sense that a lot of them seem for it. Mark Noble seems definitely willing to do it. But the other thing I wanted to ask, just to get the pandemic stuff kind of out of the way, I mean, if you were in a situation like this where you didn't know when your next football match would be, and you were a Premier Leaguer, how would you stay motivated and stay in shape? What would you do every day not knowing when you were going to play again?
It's obviously difficult. Listen, we all, even myself now, you do stuff outside of football to try and keep yourself fit. I understand that's not match fitness. But to tick over this late in the season, to go for a run and to do individual stuff will get you to a certain level. So I think once we all know when the season will start again, I think they will give you a week or two to get the team firing. So you're back at it, and then hopefully you go straight back in and be ready to win football matches like we need to do.
Do you think, Tim? I'm sorry, this isn't on the schedule, but quickly, do you think we're going to finish this season? What would you do with it at this point? Chalk it off? Try to finish it? And if we're going to try to finish it, how much of a preseason do you have right now? If you take months off?
I agree. Listen, we're all football men. We want to see football back, don't we?
Yes.
I'm
yes.
I'm missing it. I run my little boys team, and I'm missing it bad. So we all want it. We all want it to be back. So if that means we have to play 2 games a week, then so be it. We'll have to do it because we've had 4, 5, 6 weeks off. Maybe it's going to be 7, 8 weeks off we're going to have. So maybe you can use a bit of that to go into your pre-season and run the season a bit longer and start a bit quicker and just have a little time off.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to just for everyone watching, we also have like a lot of American viewers too, and also some new West Ham supporters or newer West Ham supporters that might not remember or know much about you personally. So I just wanted to throw out some fun facts real quick and then lead into a question. So with West Ham, and correct me if I'm wrong here in any of this, you had 70 appearances across all competitions with West Ham, including two goals and an assist, right?
Yeah.
All right, and 11 yellow cards and 2 red cards. I think one of those red cards was your second match with the club.
I was going to say it was either the first or second match. Yeah,
against Newcastle.
I knew that was coming.
No, I love that. That's awesome. Now you also had you appeared in 2 UEFA Cup appearances with West Ham against Palermo. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But your debut was against Blackburn in a 3-1 victory. Can you talk a little bit about your debut with the club?
Obviously, being a West Ham fan, so playing for West Ham at the time was obviously a dream come true for me. So you go back to pre-season, you're getting ready for the first game of the season. Lucky enough, it was at Upton Park.
Yeah.
I used to go as a fan behind the goal. I used to stand behind the North Bank. So for me to make my debut at Upton Park, sold out Upton Park, fans screaming and shouting, and they give me a little lump in my throat, walking out, listening to the Bubble song, knowing that I used to sing it. So to make my debut at home at Upton Park and to win was probably the best time.
How old were you at the time, Paul?
24, 25.
So you weren't
24.
you weren't that far removed from standing on the terrace then. You were maybe like 10, 12 years, on in life after you'd been behind the goal.
Yeah, of course. Every time I was at school, I used to on a Saturday. Listen, I used to get in for £5 when you was at school. Stand on a weren't tall enough some point in time. Stand on a little step, and you have to see over the front of the wall. And I remember them days like yesterday because that's my team, and I used to love going to, especially home games. But if I could go to away games, I'd always used to try and go, and especially with my mum, a big West Ham fan. So me and my mum used to try and go.
Lee, just we also have some fan questions in here as well that are popping up in the live chat. So in between what we're asking,
tons of them.
I'll throw some in here, including this one right now. This one's from a good friend, Forever Blowing Bubbles. What's your view on VAR?
I think it's ruining the game. Let's be honest. Probably after the goals now, back when I was playing, they'd probably be given that because I think when you score a goal now as a player, as a fan, you don't know if it's a goal because you're waiting for them to go to the TV. The players can't celebrate, the fans can't celebrate, and once it goes and it's a goal, it's done really. The fans have forgotten, the players have forgotten, and there's no connection then with when you're scoring a goal.
Yeah. We got another one here real quick, Lee. Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
This one's from Danny Hardy. What was better, your debut or the FA Cup final goal? That's a good one.
That's a good one.
It's a really good one. Listen, every time I put on the West Ham shirt, it meant a lot to me. So my debut was massive, but the cup final was obviously a massive day. Gutted we lost. We got so close but so far. Listen, it's a bit early for you, but I watched the game earlier. It was streamed earlier.
Yeah.
And I was watching it and I was devastated. It's the first time I've seen it back really, and I was gutted on the 89th minute. Anybody else but Steven Gerrard, I think we win the game.
Yeah, I mean, Tim, we had some questions about that, Paul, as you might imagine. So why don't we skip forward in our order here to the FA Cup final since we're there. So you scored in the FA Cup final. You had a penalty saved, obviously, during the shootout.
Thanks for reminding me.
I know,
well, you rewatched it today. Did you watch that? Did you skip the penalties?
Well, I mean, so when you look back on the day now, what is the feeling that you have? Are you proud? Are you angry? Are you disappointed?
Just remember too that it's 2 days before his birthday.
I did not know that.
It was.
Yeah. Okay, that's
listen, proud that I played in a cup final. I'm proud that it was with a team that meant a lot to me. But listen, I watching it back today, and I was gutted. I didn't know how close we was, and I knew we was close, but it was injury time. The 90 minutes was done. It was injury time, and then he goes and scores a goal like that. But listen, we didn't give in. We still could have maybe won in extra time. So a bit of me, I'm really gutted, but I'm proud at the same time.
Can you tell us, and I'm sorry to even ask this, but I just have to because, I'll never have this experience in my life. What's it like when the penalty doesn't go in that situation? What happens to your body and your mind?
I won't swear because I probably wanted to swear.
You could do that here. Are you kidding? On this show? Yeah, it's okay.
No, listen, it's a bit like I've let myself down. I've let my team down. And if we lose, it's because of me. I know 3 of us missed, so
yeah, we're
all probably part to blame. But
Zamora missed too, didn't he? It was Zamora and Ferdinand.
Yeah. So the 3 of us missed. Maybe 3 good saves. We didn't miss with 3 good saves, but gutted. Hated every minute of missing. You go from nearly being a hero to a villain, just like that. So. Still today, still now, it's heartbreaking, but proud as well.
What did the other players say to you right afterward? What did you say to each other?
Not a lot, really. I think everyone was devastated, including the manager and obviously the squad that was there and the players who weren't involved but were still there. I think every one of us was devastated because we got so close, but it wasn't to be. And let's hope that the club get to the FA Cup final again and can go and win it.
And you said, just one more, I promise. You said you didn't know exactly how close you were when you were in the match. I mean, did you realize that you were in injury time when Gerrard scored the goal, or did you know how long you had to go? Because I don't know how you don't.
Not really.
Yeah.
Because when I scored, I thought I scored really, really late on. But watching it back is like 66 minutes, so you've still got like half hour to go.
Yeah.
It was roasting hot as well when it was boiling and people was getting cramped. So the whole day was just like a big bubble. So when I scored, I thought we was nearly done, but with still half hour to go really. So when you hear there's 4 minutes gone up on the board, you think, oh, we are nearly there, and he comes out and bang goes in, and it's like wow. That's killed us.
I'm going to pull up a few more fan questions here because we're starting to get like a million of them. So I just wanted to, before it gets too crazy, I wanted to just get these out of the way and change the subject a little bit. Tony wants to know why you found it necessary to score a 40-yarder against us. Great question, Tony.
Listen. No one likes to score against their former club. I didn't score many goals, so when I did score, that was normally a bit like what happened against West Ham, and I wish I scored some more for West Ham, but it wasn't to be. And I didn't score many, like I say. So the ones I did score, I cherished.
Another one this is from Dan Hardy. So he says he thinks the season's over, and it's a shame. This is his opinion, obviously. But do you think that we'll stay up if it does continue after all?
Yeah, definitely. I think the squad of individual players we have at West Ham, I think they're probably one of the best. I think individually we are one of the best. I know we lost against Liverpool and Man City, but the performances were there. And it's a shame that this has happened now, because I think the confidence was coming with the team, knowing they can go to the big clubs and do well and get a result.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think had gone wrong earlier in the season, Paul? I mean, we struggled so much under I almost forgot his name, under Pellegrini. Couldn't think of his name, the tie stroker. I mean, a lot of people coming into the season said we look like a top 8 side, maybe even top 6. And then, of course, we're fighting, relegation when everything ends or when everything gets postponed. What do you think happened?
It could be. There's a number of things, Obviously, it didn't work for the manager before, the previous one, so Pellegrini. So you have to change things. And David Moyes has come in and he's had to put his stomp on it, but quite quick. And it's quite hard for a player from going from one thing to another, especially manager-wise. Some managers want this, and the new manager will obviously want to play a different way and get his systems across. So they work every day and they work hard, but it varies. And I think you could see now the team David Moyes has, they work at 110%, where Pellegrini's boys, maybe they played at 80% because they thought they was good enough to play at 80%. But I think the work rate now with David Moyes, I think he's got them right to where they should be. Mm-hmm. It's a shame the other stuff ain't coming as of yet.
Yeah, you went through that with Pardew and Kerbishley yourself. Now, do you think Pardew probably got the axe too quickly? Would you have preferred, personally, what do the players think as well? Like, did they feel that maybe he got the axe too soon before they brought in Kerbishley?
Yeah, I think so. I think, if I remember rightly, I think Kerbishley was doing really well at Charlton at the time. Mm-hmm. So his name was getting pushed to pillar to post. This team, that team, this team. And obviously we were struggling at the time, so it was probably easier for the owner to change rather than to stick with Pardew and see if he could get us out of it. Because the year before we've had a fantastic season. We finished 8th in the league. We get to the cup final, and okay, we started bad, but I think he knew how to get us out of it, but he just didn't get that time.
It's a question I wanted to ask too. I'm glad you brought it up, Tim, because you had that great season, your first season. I mean, you were on the pitch for pretty much every match, 90 minutes. You finished in the top 10 at, FA Cup final run, one of the best West Ham seasons of the last, I don't know how many years, actually, if you think about it. There haven't been very many that have lived up to that. And then the next season, it just sort of tanked. Was there something that happened? What happened from one season to the next that you weren't able to sort of, the team wasn't able to sort of continue that momentum going forward?
Good question.
Well, maybe nobody knows.
No, and I think it's the same as the team now. You don't plan to start bad. You go out and give 100%, and sometimes it just doesn't connect. And for whatever reason at the time, it wasn't working. We wasn't getting battered. We was in every game, probably losing by one or drawing games we should have won. But then once you draw where you should win, they cost you at the end of it, because 1 point rather than 3 is a lot in football. So them sort of games we should maybe have won and we drew. It got us into trouble. And for personally, for myself, with the manager, it was harsh on him getting the sack. But obviously the owners want to stay in the Premier League for certain reasons. We know why. There's a lot of money in the Premier League, and they decided to change.
You had seemed to have a good relationship with Pardew. Played frequently. Kerbishley came in, and I think you had a 1-0 win over Manchester United shortly after that. But then you sort of got dropped for most of the rest of your time at West Ham. Did something happen between you and Kerbishley? Was it just his preference? Because you were a very solid player and in a very good season. Do you know what I mean? You had a good track record for the club, and I'm just wondering if there was some sort of trigger that made that happen.
Yeah, a little bit. I left Charlton to go to West Ham because me and it was Kerbishley at the time. We fell out. So
I see. So it had happened at Charlton.
That makes sense.
But it got me my dream move. It got me. I wanted to go to West Ham. Always wanted to play for West Ham. Pardew really liked me, and it made it happen. So for that reason, it was really good. And then 18 months on, it reversed roles, and the manager comes to West Ham, and the rest is history, really. Because, like you say, I didn't play since.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask pretty much anybody in this chat room, or pretty much any West Ham fan, Konchesky or George McCartney, usually they'll say you every time.
They're going to say you, yeah. Right. With all due respect to George McCartney, they're going to say you, yeah.
Yeah.
I love West Ham. So if I could have stayed there for the rest of my life, I would have loved to, like Mark Noble. But the manager, obviously, we didn't see eye to eye, and I was the one who had to go because I wanted to play football, and I was devastated. It was for 18 months. I loved because the dream. It was a dream for me, but 18 months I loved my time, and then 6 months I hated because of one guy really.
What did you think when they brought him in? Were you just gutted when you? I mean, it's a nightmare, right? It's a nightmare. To be like, you're working for a boss, and then all of a sudden this guy you fell out with.
I was devastated, and when a new manager comes in and says there's a clean slate, blah blah blah, then I knew my time was up, and that was it really. Like you said, I played against Man United, we won 1-0, and I didn't play again since. So it was it wasn't to be, but I loved my time there. For 18 months, I thought I done really well, and I loved it. And if I was young enough now, I'd still like to be there.
You're well regarded still. I mean, to this day, among West Ham supporters. Anyway,
look at all the people on here now. Yeah,
oh my God, I mean, this is massive for us. This is
enormous for us. Huge, absolutely huge. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to pull up some more questions from them. Actually, as a matter of fact, so we got one from Tone. He says, "Do you feel that West Ham versus Millwall is one of the most fierce, or the most fiercest rivalry in England?"
I do. Yeah. I personally do. Yeah, and it doesn't matter what leagues they're in, and I think just once them two teams come together, even players on the pitch, like 11v11, and then obviously the fans, it's probably one of the fiercest games you'll ever see.
There's a few more questions that I actually had written down for myself, so I'm not going to pull them up ahead of time because that ruins my rapid fire. But just so you guys know, if I'm not pulling up your question, it probably means that I already have written down. I don't want to ruin my rapid fire, so sorry.
We bothered to prepare for this.
Seriously, like there's three of them that are like, boom. Yeah, we actually did prepare. Yeah, for once.
We actually prepared for this. We usually just come on and make stuff up, but today we were like, no, we gotta get it right. You know what I mean?
Right, let's talk about now then. This is a good thing. So, before we started, Paul, I'd ask you this because I wasn't quite sure what it meant. But right now, you're currently working with the club, and you're working as the academy loan manager. And I was just wondering, I'm probably not the only one, but who doesn't know what that means exactly.
I don't know what that is either. Yeah,
exactly. So can you explain that to us and what your job is with the club?
Yeah, I can. So not the young ones, but probably 21, 22, 23, them sort of boys' ages. The ones who's not in the first team are too old for the youth team, academy. They go out on loan. So people like Josh Cullen, Grady Garner, Marcus Brown last year. So that them players are going on loan. So that when they go on loan, I go to look after them I manage them. So when they're on loan, I make sure they're okay. I go and watch them train. I go and watch them play. Day-to-day basis, I make sure I talk to them, and then I'll report back to the club to make sure they're doing well.
So it's a very personal relationship you have with them then.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I probably speak to them more from West Ham than any other person because that's my role. And if they need anything, they come to me.
And you're going to watch them play and sort of scout them and also take care of them, I guess.
Yeah, I do. I go to watch them on a Saturday or Tuesday or Wednesday. I have to do a report for the first team and just make sure everything's all right with them, and get to see them and talk to them and just make sure that they're okay in that environment.
Since you're working for the club, Paul, and I listen, I don't want to get you in any trouble with your bosses at all. Has there been any reaction to some of these fan protests and some of the discontent that the fans were showing before the season went into suspension? Is there a sense at the club that people are paying attention, not paying attention? What's the feeling there?
No, I think people listen, but the players, they have to get on with playing football. They have to do what the club want them to do, and they get paid for winning football matches. So first and foremost, they have to work hard. And they have to try and win football matches. Yeah. Like you say, the process against the owners and them sort of people. So the players get on with doing what they do. They can win football matches. Hopefully, it will ease the other stuff. Because we need the fans behind the players. I know they are, but they're obviously against the owners at the same time.
Do the players understand that? Do you think that the fans are behind the players, but not with the owners?
Yeah, of course I do. I think they do, but you've only got certain people that understand why the protest. Noble, Declan Rice, the Snodgrass, them sort of players know of West Ham. They're probably the ones that understand what's going on with the fans. I think like the Lanzinis and Abonas, and they obviously understand, but I don't know if they know what it means.
Yeah, because they're not English in part, right? They didn't grow up with English football.
And that's right. And nobody's West Ham diehard. He's probably like myself, so he knows what it means to fans and to players and the club.
Yeah. Well, we have a non-West Ham question here from Charlie Walsh. He says, "So, what was your experience like playing in the Europa League final against Atletico?"
Again, like the West Ham final, it's a dream come true, But until you look back, like now, I look back and De Gea, Costa, Reyes, Forlan, them sort of players were playing. You don't realise how big they really are, or was. Because you treat it like another game, and like De Gea was probably one of the best goalies in the world, and Costa up front, and Forlan scored thousands of goals. So
yeah,
you treat it as another game because it is another game. But when you look until you sit down, relax, and look back, you think, wow, that's a proper football match. You're playing a proper football match.
And little Fulham too, I mean, like a kind of not a massive club in the Europa League final.
No, right.
That was a big deal.
Massive. It was a massive deal, and like I say about West Ham, let's hope they get a chance to go and play in another cup final. But wasn't expected. It wasn't expected to get to the cup final. So to get there was an unbelievable thing, and to play against a fantastic team. And you look at them now; they're probably one of the best.
Yeah.
But we got hard done by there as well, just like the West Ham Cup final.
Yeah. Yeah, they went into Paul. Did that go to penalties? I know it went into extra time.
And that was 2 minutes to go, and we lost there as well.
Right. I'm sorry, I couldn't remember because it wasn't West Ham. I do remember watching it though when it happened. I wanted to ask you quickly too. We'll get back to there's some good fan questions coming out too. But when you were at West Ham during a time of change, not just part due to Kerbishley, but also you had Terry Brown selling the club to the Icelandics. The Icelandics came in with a lot of promises that they were not ultimately able to keep, although most of that happened after you left. What's the feeling among the players when something like that happens at the boardroom level, where there's a transfer of ownership and there's a new regime? Do you just keep doing what you're doing, or is there like a nervous energy, or what happens there?
Players are kept away, really. You don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, which I think is the best thing.
Yeah.
You have to work and you train, and we probably know as much as you do when you read it in the paper, as a player, and unless it's something big and we're invited into the meetings. But very rare that players are involved in the backroom stuff. So when all this was happening, and you're probably going to bring up the Tevez and Mascherano thing. We didn't know
it's out there.
we didn't know they was coming until they turned up in the morning of training. So it was kept all hush hush, and we found out when they rolled out for training at 10 o'clock with us at Europa League.
You didn't know either. So all of a sudden, Carlos Tevez and Javier Mascherano just show up and
they just rocked up with a manager, and then they come and train with us.
What was the reaction? Did you know who they were?
Yeah. Maybe not Mascherano, maybe not, but I knew who Tevez was, and obviously we had Teddy Sheringham there as well. So obviously he would know players like that as well. So, but once you know they are, and listen, you'll go look up their stuff and who they are and what they've done, and we know they was fantastic footballers, and what they've gone on to do in their careers has been unbelievable. So it's a shame how they got brought in, but what a privilege to have to train with them.
How did Javier Mascherano almost never make the first team, the starting 11 at West Ham, and go on to become one of the world's better footballers?
Again, I think you said it earlier about people in the back room bringing people in, and
my son wants to say hi. My son wants to say he's a footballer. He's 9 years old. He plays for Chelmsford here. He plays a travel soccer for Chelmsford. He plays against other towns. He wanted to say hi. So that's Paul Konchesky.
Hello. Good luck.
Say hi. Huh? Yeah. Okay. Go on then. About half an hour. Okay. Sorry. They're at home all the time now, so they're just like. Ugh.
No, like that question you're saying. I think when you said about the owners getting involved, that was part and parcel with it. And when you manage a team and you don't bring a player in, you might not want to play him. And I think you see that with Pardew and Mascherano.
Yeah.
He didn't want to play him because it wasn't his guy?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know for sure, but that from the outside, that's what it looks like. So you can never say never, but like you said, the owners bringing players in and managers don't know. Maybe that's the reason.
We have a fan question here. This is from one of our contributors, Irish Tommy. He asks, do you think that the fullback position has evolved in the time from when you began your career and when it ended?
Massively. I think they're more like wingers now. I think if you look at the two Liverpool fullbacks, can you call them fullbacks? I'm not sure. They've got the most assists in the Premier League. Mm-hmm. So I like to see them defend more because no one really tests them going that way. Yeah. So can they defend? I'm not sure, but the position is massively changed. As much as I like to attack and I used to try and get forward as much as I can, I think nowadays you could be a winger to play at fullback because you seem to be always attacking rather than defending.
Yeah. Here's another question from for Blowing Bubbles again. Have you done any of your badges yet? And if so, would you like to be a manager one day?
I'm just finishing off my B license now, so my level 3 that would be. So UEFA B. And manager-wise, I probably could never say never, but I think the stress and the commitment managers have to put in these days, I don't know if I would like to put that onto myself just yet. But I can never say never. If something come up and it was an eye opener, maybe I'd give it a go. I don't want to fail. I don't like failing, so if it weren't something I was going to succeed in, then maybe not.
Yeah, I was just thinking too, Paul, when you were with West Ham and you had I think it was that second season, you guys played Charlton. What's it like to play the club you just came from? And I mean, does it make any difference to you? Is that the other players? Does it help you with your strategy, or is it more like intense?
You obviously know the players, and it's hard. It depends if you're left on bad or good terms, and because sometimes you obviously want to win. Listen, whatever football match you're playing, you want to win. So it means against your old team, your mates, or what you want to win. But if you leave on bad terms, of course, the next time you play them, you want them smashing, really. But you're there to do a job and to win football matches for the club that you're playing for. So that little bit goes out the window when you go up the leagues.
Gotcha. We got 3 or 4 more fan questions before we start getting into our rapid fire and stuff like that, because I know Lee has another question or two, but this one's kind of funny. It says, Paul's a good player for us. Did you mean your goal? Did you actually intend your goal? He says he knows you did against Liverpool in the FA Cup final. Was it intentional?
I watched it back today, so when I look it back, I think, yeah, of course I meant I see him and I chipped him off his line and that. So, but honestly, no, at the time I was running down the line and I tried to cross it, but obviously it ended up in the top corner. So
yeah, it was beautiful.
I take it as a top corner goal.
Yeah, the whole idea of meaning a goal is really funny to me, Tim, because I like in American sports, nobody ever asks that question. Do you know what I mean? Did you mean to hit that home run, or did you mean it? Just doesn't work that way. Yeah, it's just we just don't have that.
It's just when something looks like a cross. I mean, you
right?
Gotta ask. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Ronaldinho in the World Cup in 2002. Right, Ronaldinho against England in 2002 when he hit that. It looked like a cross and it went in because David Seaman didn't know where he was. So. Yeah, no, it's a funny concept to ask that you made it or not, but it's a legitimate thing to ask. Yeah.
This is from Charlie Walsh. Charlie Walsh is one of the contributors over. Well, he's on our show quite a bit, but he's a contributor over at Hammers Chat, which is a really cool group of guys. What would Paul say is the difference between the under 23 level of football and first team football, and is a loan vital to a youth player's development?
The difference, I would say, is in a men's environment every day. Because listen, under 23 football, you can have 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old players. So to be in a man's environment, to train properly every day, it means something every day that you train because you're trying to get in the team. Match days, and it depends what league you go in, because in League 2 or League 1 in England, that sometimes you have to take your own boots and you take your own towels. And I think at academies now, you get everything. They get everything they want. So they get their boots taken, and they get their towels, and they get their slips and their shin pads. So for me, for a loan for a youth academy player, I think is massively vital. I think they go and learn. They go and learn what winning's about and what it means to wake up on a Saturday morning knowing you have to win.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your job's on the line, the manager's job's on the line.
Yeah.
The recovery from Tuesday to Saturday to Tuesday games, where I don't think they're used to playing so many games, don't make them robust enough. So I think for a loan for a youth player is unless they're getting straight into the first team, I think it's vital that they go and learn their trade somewhere else.
Can I ask you one quick follow-up before we get to Alex's question, which is also really good? What's the difference to you, Paul, between playing in the under 23 side and going off on loan? I mean, is it where are the levels? How do they compare to each other? And is it when our reserves had a really great season going until it had to stop? I mean, what does that sort of mean in terms of how good they're going to actually be as players? Or is that more just a sign of, well, they've worked together as a team in this moment?
like I said a minute ago, the under 23s vary. So probably the oldest player you're going to get is a 22.
Yeah.
Whereas they should be going to play league football now. They need to go and learn what men's football's like. They need to get roughed up.
Because it's tougher. So like League One, League Two, even is a tougher, more physical environment than what you're going to get under 23s. Yeah.
Yes, because it ain't happy football, if you like. Some league team 2s and 1 teams, they go back to front quick, so they just boom it to the front centre forward. You get an elbow, you get an headbutt. I think they need to go and
experiencing the travel too, and experiencing like going up to Morecambe or Carlisle or traveling down to Plymouth or something like that. I mean, it's the whole experience will be better.
League 2 and 1, they go on a day, so you're traveling 4 or 5 hours on a coach. You got to get off, you got to play, and it's not easy. But they're not used to that because the academy footballs, they might go to Newcastle, but they might go on the train in the morning, so they'll get to sleep in the afternoon. And I think, especially our academy and obviously the Premier League academies, they're really good, but at a certain age, I think they need to get out on loan and experience the man side of it.
Let me ask you one more. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm curious. We talk a lot about playing the kids, right, in the first team in the Premier League, and you've seen some success. Obviously, Declan Rice is a great story, and Ngakia has looked very good in his time up. Ben Johnson, before he got injured, had a very good match last season. He's done fairly well. Some of these guys have actually performed, but every time we get into a slump, the results don't go our way. People tend to say, play the kids, play the kids, play the kids. How easy is it for one of the kids to make that transition? And how much do you think we can rely on youth players to, get us out of like a relegation scrap or out of a run of bad form?
Listen, so the ones I think people are on about, they train with the first team every day. So obviously, Ngakia is a great example. I knew he wouldn't let West Ham down. He's that type of kid. He's obviously gone in and proved what he can do. So it's good. I think that the manager now, he trusts younger players, and Jeremy's leading by example. He's gone in, and I think he'll keep his shirt till the end of the season. He's done that well. So I think if you prove to the manager in training every day that you warrant to be around the first team, I think there's no worries about him putting you into the team.
Makes sense. All right. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Alex.
We got like three more of these before we get into the rapid fire questions, just so you know. So what's the best training room prank you've ever been a part of? This is from Alex from Mississippi Hammers and American Hammers TV.
Probably not a lot, really. Jimmy Bullard used to do a few now and again, but I think it's worse than nowadays than when I was younger. So Jimmy Bullard had a few, but nothing too strenuous, really.
And okay, this is another good one from Forever and Bubbles. Has training and dietary changed from when you played till now?
The back. Probably from about 2010, 11, the dietary stuff and the sports science stuff started coming in. So towards the back end of my career, I got what players are getting now. And I think it's vitally important that people listen to what they've been given and can take and how they should eat, because I think it will prolong their career for more years than hopefully they expect.
You ever go see one of those? Do the players ever go see these like sports psychologists? Like in the U.S. for probably 30 years now, these athletes have been going to see like psychologists who handle athletes. Supposedly, is that a thing in England as well? Yeah, they do. West Ham have one. They have one. So if they want to go and see, it's obviously all private and confidential. So sure, of course, yeah. If they want to go and see and speak to them about whatever, then yeah, of course we have one full time.
Yeah. There's a couple more questions here too. Jazz asked a question that he's already answered. We already had that earlier in the show. So Feel free to watch the replay. Same thing with Paul Porter on Facebook. The reason why I'm not asking your questions is because Paul already answered it. But you can feel free and watch a replay, which will be up on YouTube and I think Facebook as well. Let's see if there's any fresh ones here before we get into the other thing. I think that's about it, man. Wow.
Well, let me ask you, Tim. Thomas had one, and I don't know if we've answered
the rapid fire. Yeah.
Well, no, I think it was a very quick one. Thomas was asking, Irish Tommy was asking Paul if there are some players you could talk about now who look a little special to us. Did we already ask that, Tim? I'm sorry.
No, that was for a rapid fire, but go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we'll start rapid fire now, maybe.
No, you go ahead. Elaborate on that one. That's fine.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul. Anybody you're looking at right now that looks, like another Declan Ngakia type player?
I think he's been in the team, but he's obviously gone to get some more experience. Diagana, graded Diagana. I think it'd be exciting. Hopefully, he'll come back stronger. He's been at West Brom. They're fighting for promotion, so he's learned how to win. It'd be an exciting player if and when he can come back and get into the West Ham team.
Yeah, he's been at West Brom. They may have been a better team than we have over the course of the season. I don't know.
Probably.
They beat us to the FA Cup. I know that, so who knows? But yeah.
This one's from Tone. He asks, do you think the London Stadium seating being so far away from the pitch would impact players, especially the away team, feeling less intimidated or not?
I like that last bit because that probably helped the intimidation bit because I remember obviously playing at Upton Park for and against. It was really compact and it makes it intimidating. But for West Ham players, I don't think it's an impact. But there's obviously two parts of that question. So the intimidation for the away fans, players, being that far away, they're probably fine. They don't fear anything. So listen, I loved Upton Park. That's where I used to go and I used to play and I loved it, and that's my West Ham team.
Yeah.
Did you fear it when you came in to play with other clubs?
Yeah, of course. Especially the Chicken Run. The Chicken Run was where the fans would try and intimidate you. So it was not a horrible place to play, West Ham, but like you say, it's intimidating when the fans are so close and they're shouting at you, you're taking a throw and they're screaming in your ear holes and trying to grab you. Of course it intimidates you, and you don't see a lot of that anymore because the stadiums are so big.
All right. Well, I guess we'll go right into the rapid fire questions here. Feel free to take your time with them, elaborate on them, however you choose. You don't need to do one word answers. You can give your reasons why, because I don't actually have the full amount of them since a few of them have already been asked. So feel free to take your time with these. So as a West Ham fan, supporter, what was your favorite kit, West Ham kit, in history?
I like the one we played in the cup final, the white one.
You do?
Maybe because obviously I played in it and I scored in it, and it was when I played in the cup final for the club that I really loved.
With the
and
gold
when
numbers.
I made my debut in the club,
do the players care about the kits?
I used to love the claret shirt.
Yeah, definitely.
Fans care immensely about kits.
Yeah.
Do players care? I don't know if you heard
Yeah, I think so. I think when they come out and you want to know the shape of them and where the colours are, and I think the players do care. Yeah,
I'm kind of glad to hear that for some reason.
Yeah, me too. Who is one? If you could just pick one teammate from your time at West Ham that you just love seeing on the team sheet next to you, or near you. I mean, you knew that he was on the team sheet. Who did you enjoy playing with the most at West
Ham? Probably Matthew Everton, because me and him had a good relationship down the left. And I think we knew our understanding together. So if I attacked him, he'd sit back, and when he'd go forward, I'd back him up, and I just think we had a situation that we knew each other inside out, and how we played together, I thought was a big part of the success of the first year for the team.
What did you think? What did you think of James Tompkins, Paul?
Oh, stop it! James Tompkins is my favorite player, man. My favorite West Ham player.
Is his favorite player. That's
yeah. I mentioned him every episode. Yeah.
You don't have to answer that.
I only played, I think, I don't know, 2 matches in my career. I always found myself being like a defender, like a center back. So he was my favorite West Ham center back. Anyway, so who is one West Ham player that you hated playing against when you were not at West Ham? Who was the one West Ham player that just, oh man, I don't want to play against that guy today?
Andy Carroll, probably.
Yeah.
When Andy Carroll was fit, Andy Carroll. Listen, we all know he's really, when he's fit, we know what he's good at. And I know if you're beating West Ham for any reason and put a big man up front, you know what's happening. And how dominant he is in the air and how powerful he is. He was a guy that you'd feel if you're winning or you're drawing and you see Andy Carroll come on or up top for the last 5 minutes, I think you're fearing because you know what's happening.
Yeah. It's funny because when I was Googling images of you to put on our flyer for the show, I'd say there was 5 or 6 different images with you against Gary O'Neill, whether it be you and West Ham against Gary O'Neill or Gary O'Neill or vice versa. It was really bizarre. Like there was like literally 6 different pictures of you and then Gary O'Neill right there. I'm like, you guys always get stuck near each other, or
yeah, no matter, because he played more right, so it's always like one-on-one, me and Gary O'Neill.
It was just so bizarre to see that. I'm like, wow, are these Gary O'Neill images or are these Paul Konchesky images? But yeah, it was really funny. So what was the best goal that you saw a teammate score? This could be West Ham or not. Doesn't have to be West Ham related. But in your time on the pitch, what was the best goal that you've ever seen?
Probably when I was at Fulham. Clint Dempsey against Juventus. Yeah, I think we was winning 3-1, but that was 3-3 on aggregate. And he received the ball. He turned 20 yards out. He looked up and he's chipped the goalie, Buffon. Chipped him right in the top corner. It was unbelievable, and that put us through. So it made it even better.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's. I mean, the fact that you went to the Europa League final with Fulham is tremendous. And of course, Clint Dempsey, I have to mention it, fellow Texan.
Yeah.
Actually, from very close, not too far from where I grew up. So, yep. Anyway, go ahead.
That's good. So, did you have any superstitions as a player that you had to do before the match? Ever?
Yeah, but not a big one. I used to always have to put like my right sock on, then my left, then my right boot, and my left boot, and then my right shin pad and left shin pad. It was just something that was always in my head. So I went through my career and done that. No matter when I played, at what level, I always done it.
We've asked people before, and it seems though that it's more like an American sports thing, I guess, especially like baseball or something like that. Like everybody's superstitious. All the players, they do craziest things, but it doesn't seem to be as common, I guess, in English football.
Really,
yeah. What's the weirdest thing a supporter has asked you to sign autograph in your whole career?
Someone said their face, and a lady said a boob.
Did you do it? Did you sign it?
I might have.
It's the spoils of being a professional footballer, right? You do it while you can because it doesn't last forever.
So I was going to ask what current academy player on loan has the most potential to be a star at West Ham, but I guess you already answered that with Diangana. So if you could go back in time to experience anything, as a West Ham supporter, if you could go back in time to experience anything to do with West Ham, when and where would you go?
I remember going to Villa Park when we lost in a semi-final when that was an FA Cup semi-final. I was only young. at Villa Park. I can't remember who against. We lost about 4-0. And
that was Nottingham Forest. That was Nottingham Forest. Yeah. That was the Paul Hackett game, right? The red card.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
And I remember that. I couldn't really see. I went with my mum, and a man put me on his shoulders, and all I kept seeing was Billy Bond's Claret and Blue Army, and if I could turn back that would be for me to go to watch that, to win, and then go to an FA Cup final.
Makes sense.
Yeah. That was the last one for me. I was just going to see if there's any other bonus questions here in the.
Well, let me throw one in while you're looking, Tim.
Sure.
When you were growing up, Paul, watching West Ham behind the goal, who were your favorite players?
Julian Dix. I idolised him. And a little bit, that's why I think when I had the shaved head and when I signed for West Ham, I remember Julian saying personally to me that I remind him of him because I had a bald head. I used to like a tackle, and I used to play like him a little bit, and I had a good left foot like him. So
you got to know him. You've gotten to know him then over the years, or you've at least met him at some point.
And then I always remember before I signed, Julian Dix always used to say, West Ham needs to sign a left back in myself. And now you speak to him, and you obviously know when you speak to him, you know why he said it, because he said, I reminded him of himself, and I had the shaved head, and I like to tackle, and I had a left foot like him. So, him, and obviously there used to be McAvenny up front, and George Paris, and Alvin Martin at the back, Tony Gow, Steve Potts, and obviously Steve Potts still works at West Ham now. So that was the players that was around when I used to go and watch. So Stuart Slater, I remember Stuart Slater. He was a little tricky winger. I used to love watching him as well. So they all keep coming back now when you think about them.
Yeah. When you played for West Ham, you had your couple of seasons there. How did you feel as though the fans treated you? I mean, you were a fan, right? So you had your opinions about players. There's some I'm sure you liked, some you didn't like. Was your experience as a player yourself what you thought it would be in terms of how you had interaction with the fans?
I think the club was quite good. They used to put on open day training, so you'd meet the fans and they'd come and watch you train. So you spend a little bit of time with them signing autographs. So as much as they don't get to see you as much on a match day, we tried to do stuff that we would have to visit them and go to open day, so they could get to spend time with us. So I think the club are quite good. They try and interact with the fans as much as they can, but obviously we know it's harder nowadays with everything that's going on.
Did you get?
This is a moment in history here. So we actually got our very first comment from Twitch, and apparently he's not a West Ham supporter. So
fair enough.
Thank you.
Hey, you know what? We're glad you're here. I don't care who you support. We're glad you're watching. Buy something from the shop. All right, AmericanHammers.net. Go buy something.
There you go.
That's what I say.
Sorry, I heard you that.
That's what I say. Did you ever have anybody, any fans give you a hard time? Do they do that in front of players the way they do on social media and on things like this?
Not really. You hear the odd groan and moan, and
in a minute.
That could be because you pass the ball and it don't go to run. We all do that. But like you say,
can't hear.
We're more
yeah, all right. Give me 5 more minutes, okay? Thank you. I will come outside when I'm done. Sorry. He's very enthusiastic. He wants to play. By the way, he wants to play soccer all the way through high school. So, sorry, football. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, but they're maybe a little less aggressive to your face than they are in the fanzines or the message board and so forth.
Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, and the odd moan and groan, but I think you can deal with that. But it's when they go on the social media and they don't see you, and then they start.
We've had a few questions in the chat that if you put them all together, I guess what they're asking is the facilities get a lot of stick, I guess you say, at the training facilities anyway at West Ham. the porta cabins, whatever you want to call them, and stuff like that, and just the overall quality. But you think it's okay, good enough, sufficient, and also how much of an impact do like facilities have on the development of the players themselves?
So where the West Ham, the first team now, have moved to another training ground. So they've got a brand new training ground they opened last year. So their facilities are top. And the academy have just spent $4 million on there. So they've got no portal cabins. They've got a brand new building, all new pitches. So it's like they've got 2 brand new training grounds, really. So it's all been updated, and I think that the owners know that if they want to be there, they had to do something. And fair play to them, they've upped their game in that facility now. So I think if you went to West Ham training facilities now, you'd be surprised what they've got.
Real quick, I just got to mention a few things before we head off. But before we do, is people want to follow you on social media? How do they do that?
Just on Twitter or Instagram. I'm Conch3 on Twitter, or Paul Konch on Instagram.
Awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to mention or say before we go, or plug or anything before we head off?
Just say thank you for inviting me on. I'd love to come back on. Thank you guys, and
anytime.
All your West Ham fans in America, stay safe for now, and hopefully I'll come over and see you soon.
Oh, awesome. Please do come. We both live in about 30 miles north of Boston, Paul. So Tim and I live about 2 miles from each other.
This way, yeah.
Live about 2 miles from each other. So come up to Boston, hang out with us. We'll have a good time.
We have real quick. I mentioned AmericanHammers.net. Obviously, is our website. We do have a show after this. There's no Sunday night show tonight because Lee's here doing this. He usually does the Sunday nights, but we'll make sure that he's back on Wednesday. I have a show Monday night, which will be fun. I don't know what we're doing yet, but we'll come up with something fun to do and some sort of forum. But today, like right after this, so please, guys, make sure that if you're watching on Facebook or Periscope or whatever, head on over to YouTube, click the notification bell, and you'll get notified. I think either 3:15 Eastern time, which is like 15 minutes from now, or 3:30, somewhere around there. Baz Cox, Jazz, and Ian Bishop, former West Hammer, they're going to be doing the last match of the first round of Friday Night Lights. Yes, Friday Night Lights on a Sunday. Yeah. But anyway, it's going to be.
Good luck to Baz and Jazz going up against Ian Bishop, by the way.
Yeah, good luck.
I went up against Ian Bishop. It doesn't go well.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. Obviously, this broadcast will end and then that will pop up. But make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can get notified. Otherwise, just if you follow us on Facebook or follow us on any form of social media, there'll be a link somewhere to tune in. So please do, because that'll be really cool. But I can't thank Paul enough. Paul, thank you so much, my man, for being so gracious to popping out here. We learned a lot today.
Yeah, this was fantastic. Thank you.
We'll talk to you real quick off the air. Yeah, thank you. We'll talk to you real quick off the air. But everybody else, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
Woods.